Hey everybody, Captain B-Nard here, and today I'm going to take a break from all the competitive stuff to talk to you guys about my top 10 Pokemon still not in Scarlet and Violet. So, after two DLCs and the epilogue, I think it's pretty safe to say that we've got just about all the content we're going to get out of Scarlet and Violet, which means that out of the 1,025 Pokemon in the national dex, we have access to a whopping 733 of them in this game. And while that is a very impressive number and probably about the best that we can expect from any Pokemon game on the Switch, that still does leave out 292 Pokemon. And while I have been very happy with the quality control in these limited Pokédexes, at the same time, some of your favorites are going to inevitably be left out. So, today I'm going to highlight 10 of them. Now, these are mainly just Pokemon that I really like, either from a design standpoint or a competitive standpoint. But yeah, just Pokemon that I generally wish could have been in Scarlet and Violet. Gone, but not forgotten. So, having said all of that, we're going to go ahead and get right into the list with number 10. And so coming in at number 10, we have Melmetal, actually the only Pokemon on this list that I've never used. And there is a good reason for that because Melmetal is and has always been a very unique Pokemon as far as its distribution and its availability. So if you guys think back to Generation 7, Melmetal was released as a Pokemon Go exclusive Pokemon to coincide with the release of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which were basically the Gen 7.5 games. They were the first Pokemon games for the Nintendo Switch, and this guy was released as a promotional thing on Pokemon Go, and while you could catch these things basically like candy on Pokemon Go, you could port them over to Let's Go and use them there. But obviously, I did not play Let's Go, and so I was not able to use it over there. Now, when we went to Generation 8 with Sword and Shield, this guy was available via porting it over once again via Pokemon Home. However, unfortunately, there was no way to obtain the Pokemon in the game itself. Now, I don't play Pokemon Go, so I didn't really have access to it. Now, I suppose I could have either genned one or just had someone go ahead and trade me one, that kind of thing. But I kind of held off on it because, well, I think Melmetal is pretty cool. Mono steel type, pretty potent competitively as I've seen. I kind of wanted to hold off on it, hoping that it would get really a proper introduction and distribution when we went to the next games. Unfortunately, not only did that not happen, but in Generation 9 so far, you can't even transfer this guy into the game via Pokemon Home. So unfortunately, it looks like Melmetal will go another generation without a proper introduction into the console games. Now, I suppose there's always the small off chance that they could hold some kind of Melmetal event on Scarlet and Violet and introduce it to the game that way, but I definitely will not be holding my breath for that. Um, but yeah, it is kind of disappointing because, like I said, I did want to use this thing, and just hadn't really had the opportunity to use it before. And yeah, it looks like I won't be getting that opportunity anytime soon. So, having said that, we're going to go ahead and keep rolling into number 9. And that is going to be Heliolisk, a Pokemon that I am actually quite familiar with. The dual type electric normal from Gen 6, and actually still the only one of its kind to date. And so, yeah, Heliolisk I just really like from a design standpoint. I also like it from a competitive standpoint. It also is, interestingly, I believe, the only Pokemon to have three separate abilities that make use of three different weather conditions. So, very unique, awesome Pokemon is Heliolisk, and I think in Heliolisk's case, it was just kind of a victim of circumstance as far as cuts obviously made, just a Pokemon that they didn't want to fit into this dex. So Unfortunately, just got left out, but definitely missed here. As like I said, I just really like the design of this thing, and competitively, I like to use it. It really does shine in the lower tiers as well, or at least did in games past. But moving right along, that's going to bring us to number 8, and that is going to be Aegislash, which is, of course, the dual type Ghost Steel from Gen 6 as well. Was the only one of its kind, actually, up until the release of Goldengo in this generation. And so, Aegislash, once again, just another Pokemon that I really enjoy from a design standpoint, also very potent competitively, especially in the higher tiers, was banned at one point. And so I have used it a little bit, not quite as much as other Pokemon, but I was hoping to get a chance to use it a little more in this generation. But again, unfortunately, just another victim of circumstance of the cuts of this generation, not being able to find room for it, I suppose, in Scarlet and Violet. But that is going to go ahead and bring us to the next entry, and keeping along the same theme, that is going to be Kartana. So, Kartana, of course, the one of many Ultra Beasts out of Gen 7, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon more specifically. Dual type Grass Steel, and of course, it is one of only two of its kind. The other, of course, Ferrothorn, is actually not in this game either. But this is a Pokemon that I have used not a ton, but used it enough to know that I like it. It is obviously very, very potent competitively, but also from a design standpoint, I just really, really like the design of this thing. I think it is my favorite Ultra Beast design, and just a really cool Pokemon that I am missing from Scarlet and Violet. Now, unlike the other Pokemon, or the last couple, I should say, I really had no reasonable expectation of this thing to be in Scarlet and Violet, and I can only imagine how horrifying it would be when you add the Terra mechanic to this thing. So I think not only it, but probably all of the Ultra Beasts would have to be banned from competitive play if they were allowed to coexist with Terra. Um, so from a competitive standpoint, that would be an absolute terror to have to deal with. But I really, really just like the design of Kartana a lot. I like its typing, and using it competitively as well. It's a powerhouse competitively. So again, another Pokemon that I would like to use again that unfortunately we cannot in these games. But that is going to go ahead and bring us to number 6 on the list, which is going to be another Gen 7 favorite of mine. That is type Null, the mono normal type, which I believe is the only, definitely I should say, only the not fully evolved Pokemon, or the only not fully evolved Pokemon, rather, on this list. And so this is a Pokemon type Null that, again, I just really, really like using it from a competitive standpoint. Design-wise, I'm okay with it, but I absolutely loved using Type Null competitively, especially in the lower tiers, and definitely miss not having it in Scarlet and Violet. Again, just another Pokemon that I think was a victim of circumstance. They just didn't want to try and make room for it in the Scarlet and Violet decks, but um, just a really unique Pokemon, I think, and really, really fun to use competitively. Definitely sad that I don't have access to this one in this game as well. But that is going to go ahead and bring us to our halfway point on the list with number 5. And that is going to be, of course, Machamp. So, Machamp, the OG fighting type itself from Gen 1, of course. And it feels really weird, I gotta say. Very, very weird to say that Machamp is not in a Pokemon game. Because I believe it's been in every Pokemon game up until this point. So the fact that it's not in this one is really devastating, I think. Um, Obviously, just like I said, the OG fighting type, just an absolute powerhouse. Competitively, it is quite good as well. Really, really like it from a design standpoint too. It's like I said, it's you can't get much more classic than Machamp when it comes to Pokemon. So It's definitely one of the OG titans of Pokemon. So not having it just really stings. Honestly, not having it in any Pokemon game, it just not great. Let's just put it that way. And seems like it would have been a no-brainer to have it in this game, but unfortunately, just not the case here. So yeah, definitely, certainly missed in Scarlet and Violet here. But moving right along, that will bring us to number 4, and that is going to be Kecleon. So Kecleon, the mono normal type from Gen 3, the OG Protean user, or type changing Pokemon, and yeah, just a really cool Pokemon. I think, from a design perspective, really like Kecleon. From a competitive perspective, I love to use Kecleon. I've used it so much in games past, and very disappointed that it's not in Scarlet and Violet. Again, I don't really see a good reason for it to not be in the game other than it just being a cut that they wanted to make. Victim of circumstance, if you will, but really like Kecleon, and yeah, it's definitely disappointed that we're not able to use it here in Scarlet and Violet. It's nice to have. I will say, as a sidebar, it's nice to have a Protean Pokemon that isn't like completely broken. Although, with the way that they nerfed Protean in this generation, Kecleon, I'm sure, would not be nearly as viable. Um, but yeah, moving along, we are going to go ahead and take a look at number 3. And that, of course, is Pidgeot. So back to Gen 1, the OG bird, obviously. Of course, it's pre-evolution, the mascot for the Philadelphia Pidgeys, my draft league team. And yeah, it's very unfortunate to not have Pidgeot in this game. I've used Pidgeot somewhat in competitive play. It's not the best, quite honestly, but it's not terrible in the lower tiers. It's pretty decent. But it is a cool Pokemon. I really like Pidgeot. Obviously, I like the Pidgey line, and not again. It feels awful, not having it in a Pokemon game. Because again, I think probably any Gen 1 Pokemon that doesn't appear in a Pokemon game, you're gonna just be like, what the hell, because it's Gen 1. Obviously, how can it not be there? Um, but yeah, unfortunately, not having it, obviously not having the mascot Pidgey, the pre-evolution here does definitely sting. But once again, I think just another victim of circumstance cut here in the decks. But that is going to bring us all the way up to number 2, and that, of course, is going to be Aggron, Big Bad Aggron itself. One of my favorite Pokemon of all time, actually, is Aggron. I really got into Aggron during Gen 6, specifically Mega Aggron, because, well, Aggron is, of course, our Gen 3 Steel Rock type. Of course, the Mega Evolution turned it into a pure Steel type, which was obviously very valuable. And it was just an absolute competitive powerhouse. Even without Mega, I kind of took a shine to Aggron after that, and really enjoyed using it. And yeah, it's not the best Pokemon competitively. It's actually pretty good in lower tiers, but obviously in higher tiers, not super great without the Mega Evolution. But I really just love Aggron from a design perspective as well. It's just a really cool Pokemon, and yeah, very sad that we don't have it in Scarlet and Violet. Again, I don't really see a good reason for it to not be in Scarlet and Violet. Pretty much all of these Pokemon, I would say, aside from Melmetal and Kartana, I can say I don't really think there's a real good reason that they're not in the game. Um, just victim of circumstance, I suppose. But with that, that is going to go ahead and bring us to my number 1 Pokemon that I am sad to see not appear in Scarlet and Violet. And that has to be Alakazam. Definitely has to be Alakazam. Of course, another OG, the OG Psychic type here for Pokemon. I absolutely love Alakazam from a design perspective. I love it from a competitive perspective. It is one of my favorites, certainly to use in competitive play. I've used it quite a lot, as with a lot of these Pokemon. And once again, it really seemed like a no-brainer to me, pun intended, that Alakazam would be in this game. But unfortunately, obviously, it is not. Um, it just, and again, it's one of those Pokemon like Pidgeot, like Machamp, that it just like it feels weird to say that it's not in the game, because it's Gen 1, it's something that we've been rolling with for a very, very long time. And yeah, just really miss this thing. Like I said, from both a design and a competitive perspective, I really miss not having Alakazam in the game. I'd say more than any other Pokemon at this point. And so yeah, that will pretty much do it. They are gone, these Pokemon, and as well, a total of 292 Pokemon are gone for now. They are not in Scarlet and Violet. I do not expect them to be in Scarlet and Violet at any point, which is unfortunate. But like I said, I've kind of at this point, though, I was very critical of the limited decks, especially at first. I've kind of made peace with it at this point because it's just going to be a feature of Pokemon games moving forward. Obviously in the Switch era, simply because it just is impractical and untenable to have every single Pokemon in the game anymore. The game has just gotten so um, large, and we just have so many Pokemon, um, so many moves, items, abilities, gimmicks like Mega Evolution and Z Crystals and everything that is just it's just so unworkable to have all of that in a single game. Um, and if you don't believe me, try playing National Dex on Showdown. So I've heard that is a pretty big nightmare. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. I just wanted to kind of highlight these Pokemon that I'm missing here from Scarlet and Violet. Gone, but not forgotten for now. So, but that's it. Thanks for watching again, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, and/or subscribe if you did enjoy, and stay tuned for more new videos in the future. Also, let me know in the comments section what Pokemon are you missing from Scarlet and Violet that you wish they would have brought back from games past. So, that's it, and we'll see you next time.